Back again with Rachel Maddow and Pat Buchanan. And Pat, towards the end, each of the candidates was asked about their Achilles heel, and somehow Governor Palin wound up talking about Ronald Reagan's shining city on a hill. I mean, it's a superb soundbite, but is the process at all important here, or just what the end result was?
Well, she did say that she had not. I mean, she started off talking about some budget things she had failed to do. She said she had caved in, I believe, at a couple. But then she moved on to the sunny uplands, as it were, which is the old Ronald Reagan story. And I did think the way she ended this whole thing was just very well done. Keith, I can't tell you. I've talked to my sister, of course, my wife, and they're in contact with a lot of conservatives and others, and they were making novenas. They were very, very nervous about this, and they are elated with Sarah Palin's performance tonight. There is no doubt about it. I don't know that she reaches the independents, but I'll tell you this. Those working class folks making up to $40,000, $50,000 out in central Pennsylvania, I think they would identify with her.
To that point, Rachel, did those people that Pat just spoke of, do they identify with Joe Biden as well? Is that the takeaway from tonight, that both of these people reached the people they were trying to reach?
It depends on whether or not we believe that working class voters, more than the rest of America, more than non-working class voters, care about personality versus policy. I mean, you saw actually both candidates trying to compete sort of neighborhood versus neighborhood. It was Wasilla versus Scranton there for a while, and then Wasilla versus various neighborhoods in Delaware, and we had dueling mentions of specific locals that the two of them like to talk to. So we had them trying to compete on the sort of culture and personality stuff, but the real question is whether or not there's going to be any competition on policy issues. I do think that Biden scored some points when he went after Palin on having supported a windfall tax on the oil companies for Alaska, but McCain wouldn't support that for the country. I think that was probably a good sort of populistly resonant economic message. Beyond that, I think we're back to really Obama versus McCain and not much difference between them and McCain and Biden versus Palin.
And where does that go, Pat, if the Republican meme, we heard it during the debate from the governor, and then we heard it from Kit Bond afterwards and a couple of other people, if the new catchphrase of the day anyway from the GOP is "Don't look back."
I think what the Republicans have to do, Keith, is this. They've got to get this economic issue, this monster bill, passed and behind them, and then they have to go all out and try to get it back into a McCain-Palin versus Obama-Biden, where they were doing very well after the convention for 2 weeks until Lehman Brothers went down. And I think, but the problem with the Republicans is the big overriding issue, the big wave, is economic concern and apprehension, and that doesn't play well, and it may be a very difficult thing to swim against that wave.
Rachel, 30 seconds. What happened tonight?
Tonight, the campaign was not changed in an overall way. The impressions of either vice presidential candidate were not changed in an overall way. But there was a huge opportunity for failure, really on both sides here, and neither of them fell into that trap.
As we've seen for some of those numbers, which I'll get to again in a moment.